The coffee had gone cold in my hands. From my kitchen window, I watched the autumn leaves skitter across the lawn of the house my husband Leo and I had built our life in. He'd been gone 5 years now, a heart attack that stole him in the night. The silence he left behind was a hollowed-out thing I'd learned to carry, like an extra bone. My daughter Elise had been working abroad for just over 2 years. At least, that's what her husband Colin told me. London, then Zurich, then Hong Kong, a meteoric rise in international finance. He'd say with a smile that was all polished teeth and no warmth, "The opportunities, Marion, you wouldn't believe them. She calls when she can." She called less and less, a rushed conversation here, a text message there. My Elise, who used to call me every Sunday without fail, rain or shine, just to tell me about the new pastry she'd tried or the novel she was reading. I clung to Colin's explanations because the alternative, that something was deeply, terribly wrong, was a door I couldn't bring myself to open. That Saturday, the market was my sanctuary, the ritual of it selecting honey from old Mr. Higgins, trading recipes with Betty from 2 doors down, feeling the weight of a perfect butternut squash in my hand grounded me. I was examining late-season chrysanthemums, their purple heads bowed against the chill, when I felt a presence at my elbow. "Mrs. Vance." I turned. The man was in his late 20s, maybe early 30s, with a tired face and the uniform of a local courier service. His name tag read Evan. His eyes, a pale blue, darted around the crowded square like a spooked animal's. "Yes, can I help you?" He didn't offer a hand. Instead, he shifted a cardboard box under his arm and with his free hand pressed a small, flat package wrapped in plain brown paper into mine. His fingers were ice cold. "You're Elise Vance's mother." It wasn't a question. A chill that had nothing to do with the October air traced my spine. "I am. What is this?" He leaned in, his voice dropping to a threadbare whisper I had to strain to hear over the market din. "I've been making deliveries for a client. I saw her, your daughter. I recognized her from a photo she kept in her apartment. I can't keep this anymore. The truth matters. Watch it, alone." Before I could form a single word, "Who are you?" "What do you mean you saw her?" He backed away, melting into the river of people with the practiced ease of a ghost. One moment he was there, the next, swallowed by the crowd, leaving me standing with a package that felt suddenly radioactive in my hands. The 10-minute drive home was a blur. The package sat on the passenger seat, an unassuming rectangle of brown paper and twine that seemed to pulse with a malevolent energy. My house, usually a place of quiet comfort, felt too large, too empty as I closed the door behind me. I carried the package to the oak table where Leo and I had shared 1,000 meals, where Elise had done her homework, where we'd planned our lives, that my hands, which had delivered babies, tended gardens, and held my husband as he passed, would not stop shaking. I fumbled with the twine, the paper rustling like dry leaves in the silent kitchen. Inside was a single USB drive and a folded sheet of lined notebook paper. No photograph, just those 2 stock items. I unfolded the note first, the handwriting cramped and hurried, as if penned in a moving vehicle. Mrs. Vance, my name is Evan Reed. I drive for Swifture Couriers. For the last 18 months, I've had a regular run to the Willowbrook Residential Care Facility on the outskirts of the city. The client is your son-in-law, Colin Thorne. He pays cash, no questions asked. The deliveries are always the same: boxes of specialty medical supplies, paperwork, sometimes personal items. 3 weeks ago, I was running late. A staff door by the loading dock was propped open. I saw into a common room, and I saw Elise. She was thinner, and she looked tired, but it was her. She was sitting by a window, just staring out. She turned and looked right at me. Not through me, not like some of the others in there. She saw me. There was a recognition in her eyes, and then a desperation so raw it felt like a physical blow. She started to get up, but an orderly stepped in front of the window and pulled a blind asterisk. I asked a nurse I sometimes chat with about her. She got quiet, said the patient was non-responsive and under strict private care, that I shouldn't ask. I have a wife, a newborn son. I need this job, but I haven't slept since that day. I copied some files from a billing manifest left unattended in the office. It's all on the drive. I don't know what game Colin is playing, but your daughter isn't in Hong Kong. She's 40 minutes from your front door. She's been at Willowbrook for 2 years, 1 month, and 14 days. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Asterisk, asterisk, Evan, asterisk, the room didn't spin. It solidified into a prison of cold, hard fact. The air left my lungs in a slow, painful sigh. 2 years, not in glittering foreign cities, but in a care facility. Under Colin's guardianship, the lie was so vast, so meticulously constructed, that for a moment my mind simply refused to map its borders. I stumbled to the old study, to Leo's computer. It took 3 tries to insert the tiny drive. A single folder appeared, labeled Manifests. The first document was a clinical admission report. Asterisk patient, Elise Marie Thorney Vance, Vasily Willowbrook, Residential Care and Rehabilitation Center admission date, August 12, 2 years, 1 month, 14 days ago. Asterisk, asterisk, diagnosis, severe dissociative disorder, cognitive decline following psychological trauma. Asterisk, asterisk, legal guardian, Colin James Thorne. All visitation, communication, and treatment plans required guardian pre-approval. Asterisk, the date was a punch to the gut. It was the week after Colin had told me Elise had gotten her big break and was leaving for London immediately. I'd been so proud, so wistful. We'd had a rushed, happy goodbye dinner. She'd seemed quiet, but I'd chalked it up to pre-travel nerves. Colin had done all the talking. The other files were billing invoices, monthly statements for comprehensive residential care. The sums were astronomical, $18,000 a month. Payments were routed through a corporate entity named Thorne Holdings, and the authorizing signature was always Colin's. But it was the final document, a scanned PDF of a legal form, that turned the chill in my veins to ice. It was a petition for permanent guardianship, filed by Colin. The stated reason: patient's acute paranoia and delusional behavior, including unfounded accusations against spouse, rendering her a danger to herself and incapable of managing her affairs. A supporting statement from a Dr. Aris Finch cited erratic financial decisions and violent ideation. My sweet Elise, my reader, my painter, the girl who cried when she found an injured sparrow in the garden. Violent ideation. The deception wasn't just about hiding her, it was about erasing her. Colin had built a paper prison, a narrative of madness, and locked her inside it. And he'd been paying for it, a king's ransom, for over 2 years. Where was that money coming from? Elise had her own inheritance from Leo, held in a trust, my own savings, the equity in this house. It all felt suddenly, terrifyingly exposed. I sat in the darkening study, the blue light of the monitor reflecting in my glasses. The grief for Leo, which had been a constant, dull ache, was now joined by a new, sharper agony, maternal fury. It was a clean, burning fuel. My hands finally stopped shaking. The next day was Sunday. Colin was bringing the grandchildren over for lunch, as he did most weeks. A performance of normalcy. Now I knew it for what it was: surveillance. He was watching me, assessing my state of mind, all while playing the devoted, burdened son-in-law. When his car crunched on the gravel, I took a deep breath. I was no longer Marian Vance, grieving widow and grandmother. I was a soldier stepping onto a battlefield I hadn't known existed. Lily, 7, bounded in first, a whirlwind of pink jacket and flying braids, launching herself into my arms. Nana. We saw baby cows. Ben, older and more reserved at 9, gave me a careful hug. Hi Nana. His eyes, so like his mother's, held a quiet WATCHFULNESS. Colin followed, carrying a bakery box. Marian, you look well. He leaned in for a cheek kiss. His cologne was expensive, his smile seamless. The kids have been talking about your apple pie all week. It's in the oven, I said, my voice miraculously steady. Come in, come in. We went through the motions. Lunch was chatter about school, about Lily's ballet recital, about Ben's science project. I watched Colin. I saw how he subtly steered the conversation away. Anytime Ben mentioned missing his mom. She's working so hard to provide for us, champ, he'd say. Or we'll try to video call again soon. But the time difference is tricky. Asterisk, after lunch, the kids went out to the treehouse Leo had built. Colin helped me clear the plates. They adore you, Marian, he said, his tone dripping with manufactured warmth. It's such a comfort for them, with Elise being so unavailable. Here it comes, I thought. Actually, he continued, wiping his hands on a dish towel, that reminds me, I'm finally getting all of Elise's affairs consolidated. For the kids' future, you know, the lawyers are asking for copies of some older documents, her birth certificate, the deed to this house. I think Leo might have kept a file somewhere, maybe in his old desk. I could come by next week and help you look The gall of it, the cool, casual larceny. He wasn't just siphoning money from her trust, he was after the house, my home, the last tangible piece of Leo, of our family. I turned from the sink and met his eyes. Leo's desk is a mess, Colin, full of old fishing tackle and tax returns from the 90s. I'm not even sure where the key is anymore. A flicker of impatience crossed his face, quickly smoothed over. Oh, don't worry about it. I can hire a locksmith. Least I can do. Let me poke around first, I said, layering my voice with a feigned, elderly vagueness. My memory isn't what it was. I might stumble on it. He studied me for a moment, and I made sure my eyes were slightly unfocused, a little confused. The mask settled back on his face. Of course, no rush. After they left, the silence of the house roared back. But it was different now. It wasn't empty. It was charged. I went straight to the bedroom, to the small, elegant writing desk that had been my mother's. In the very back of the bottom drawer, beneath a stack of old lace, was a small, brass key taped to the underside of the drawer's frame, a hiding place from a different era. Tied to it with a faded red ribbon was a tag, Safety Deposit Box, 112, First Municipal Bank and Trust. Leo, pragmatic, secretive, wonderful Leo. He'd always said, every family needs a back door, Mari, just in case. I'd thought he was being melodramatic. First thing Monday morning, I was at the bank. The vice president, a man who'd known Leo for years, greeted me with solemn courtesy and led me to the vault. The box was long and flat. Inside, I found my back door. There were updated wills, certificates for bonds I'd forgotten about, and a thick, legal document bound in blue, the Vance Family Living Trust. But on top of it all was a letter in Leo's unmistakable, bold script. Asterisk, my dearest Marion. Asterisk, asterisk, if you're reading this, I've gone ahead to scout the fishing spots, and something has gone seriously wrong. I never liked Colin. There's a calculation behind his charm that set my teeth on edge. Elise couldn't see. IT love is blind, and he was dazzling. I set up this trust to protect her, and the children, and you. Everything, the house, my investments, the land up north is held in it. Elise is the beneficiary, but access is controlled by a trustee who isn't Colin. I named old Frank Callahan. He's a tough old bird, and he doesn't like Colin either. Asterisk, asterisk, if Colin ever tries to get his hands on the capital, or on the house, Frank will stop him. If something happens to Elise, the trust passes to the children, held until they're 30, with you as custodian. Colin is explicitly excluded from any fiduciary role, forever. Asterisk, asterisk, I hope I'm just a paranoid old man and you never need this, but if you do, fight, my love. You're the strongest person I've ever known. Trust your gut, it's smarter than all of us. All my love, always, Leo asterisk. I held the letter to my chest, the paper crinkling against my sweater. It was as if he'd reached through time and handed me a shield. He had known, or at least, he had feared, and he had loved us enough to prepare. But a shield wasn't enough. I needed a sword. I needed proof. I needed to get Elise out. Frank Callahan, Leo's crusty old attorney, was retired in Florida, but his voice on the phone was sharp as a tack. Marion, Leo's trust. Ironclad, that weasel can't touch a dime of the core assets. But this is criminal. Guardianship, fraud. We need evidence from inside that facility, the kind that holds up in court. He gave me a name and number. Myra Santos, private investigator, former federal investigator. She's discreet, she's thorough, and she hates bullies. Tell her everything. Myra Santos met me at a quiet diner 20 miles from my town. She was a compact woman in her 50s with intelligent eyes that missed nothing. She listened without interruption as I laid out the package, the note, the documents, my fears. She examined Evan Reed's note with a forensic eye. This is good, she said finally. It gives us a starting point. Willowbrook has a reputation. Quiet, expensive, very private. Not the kind of place you end up by accident. I'll need to get inside. Pose as a potential client for my ailing aunt. See the layout, the security. More importantly, I need to get to someone on the staff. Someone with a conscience. Is it dangerous? I asked. The mother in me surfacing. For you, potentially. If Colin is capable of this, he's capable of more. Assume he's having you watched. Your phone may be monitored. Live normally, but be careful. We communicate in person, here or not at all. No traces. Living normally became a high-wire act. I went to my book club. I tended my garden. I smiled at the neighbors. Inside, I was a vault of simmering terror and rage. A week later, Colin arrived unannounced again. This time, he had papers. Marian, these just need your signature. Routine stuff. Medical release forms so Elise's specialists overseas can coordinate with her doctors here. Just a formality. I took the papers, my heart hammering against my ribs. Of course, dear, let me get my reading glasses. The print is so small these days. I made a show of fumbling for them. You know, I should probably have Frank Callahan just give these a glance. Legal jargon always confuses me. The temperature in the room dropped 10 degrees. His affable mask slipped, revealing something cold and hard beneath. Frank Callahan, why would you involve him? This is family medical business. Oh, Leo always said to have Frank look at anything with small print, I chirped, layering on the dotty old lady act. Force of habit, I'll pop them in the mail to him tomorrow. He reached out and gently took the papers back, his smile tight. No need to trouble him. I'll have my own lawyers simplify the language. I'll bring them back. He left quickly. I scanned and emailed the forms to Mira within the hour. Her callback was grim. Those weren't medical releases. They were power of attorney forms and a petition to add you as a responsible party to your own daughter's care plan. Signing them would have given Colin's lawyers a roadmap to your medical history. They could have started building a case that you're cognitively declining, too. It's a preemptive strike. He's not just after Elise anymore. Marian, he's coming for you. The official court documents arrived 2 days later. A petition for competency evaluation for Marian Elizabeth Vance, filed by Colin James Thorne. It cited concerned observations of forgetfulness, confusion, paranoia about family members, and an irrational fixation on the whereabouts of her daughter. An attached letter from a Dr. Eris Finch, the same doctor who'd condemned Elise, noted, I'd seemed agitated and disjointed during a recent routine checkup. A lie, I'd been perfectly fine. The hearing was in 3 weeks. If Colin won, he would become my guardian. He would control my finances, my home, my freedom. He would make me a non-person, just like he'd done to Elise, and then there would be no one left to fight for her. The walls were closing in. Mira worked faster. I made contact, she said at our next diner meeting, her voice low, a nurse at Willowbrook. She's scared, but she's angry. She's meeting us tonight, a secluded place. That night, in the back corner of a closed elementary school's parking lot, a young woman named Chloe got into Mira's car. She was pale, her hands knotted together. I can't testify, she blurted out immediately. I have student loans. I can't lose my license. But what's happening to Elise Thorne is wrong. She's not dissociative. She's sad. She's scared. But she's lucid. We're told to limit interaction, to log any erratic speech. Most of us just avoid her room because the directives come from the top, from Dr. Finch himself, and they're authorized by the husband. She handed Myra a flash drive. Patient progress notes for the last year. You'll see. They don't match the diagnosis. I also copied screenshots of the schedule. Mr. Thorne has a family therapy video call scheduled for this Friday. He brings the kids. It's for show, but it's your chance to see her. Friday arrived, a day of exquisite torture. Colin set up the laptop in his sterile, modern living room. Now, kids, remember, Mommy is very tired. Her illness makes it hard for her to talk sometimes. Just be calm and happy for her. The screen flickered, and then, there she was. My Elise. She was thinner. Yes, her hair was longer, tied simply back. She wore a soft blue sweater, but her eyes, when they found Lily and Ben on the screen, they lit up with a love so fierce it stole my breath. My babies, she whispered, her voice husky from disuse but clear. Oh, look at you. Lily chattered about her ballet. Ben, more hesitant, told her about his project on volcanoes. Elise listened, asked perfect, attentive questions. She was present, fully, completely there. Then her gaze shifted, finding me over the children's heads, her eyes locked onto mine. For a fraction of a second, the loving mother vanished, replaced by a prisoner, signaling from behind glass. She gave a slow, deliberate blink. Then her fingers, resting on the table in front of her, tapped once, twice, 3 times. I see you. Colin, hovering at the edge of the frame, smoothly interjected. All right, sweetheart. We don't want to tire you. The doctors say short visits are best. I love you, Elise said, her eyes still holding mine. I love you all so much. Remember that." The screen went dark. In the void that followed, my resolve crystallized into something diamond hard. She was in there, she was sane, and she was begging me to see her. The competency hearing was held in a beige, impersonal courtroom that smelled of lemon polish and anxiety. Colin sat with his lawyer, a sleek woman in a severe black suit. He looked at the picture of concerned, reluctant duty. His lawyer painted a portrait of a woman unraveling, forgetting appointments, accusing her devoted son-in-law of monstrous things, lost in grief and paranoia. She presented the letter from Dr. Finch. It sounded convincing. It sounded true. Asterisk. Then it was Frank Callahan's turn. He stood, an old lion in a rumpled suit. "Your Honor, my client isn't declining. She's under attack. Her daughter, Elise Thorne, is not overseas. She is being held under a fraudulent guardianship at the Willowbrook facility, less than an hour from here, by the same man who now seeks to control Mrs. Vance." The judge, a woman with sharp eyes and a nonsense demeanor, leaned forward. "That is an extraordinary allegation. Counselor, we have evidence." "Your Honor." Frank gestured to Mira, who connected a laptop to the court's display system. He showed the court the documents from the safety deposit box, Leo's trust, explicitly barring Colin. He showed the bank records Mira had subpoenaed, showing the massive monthly payments from Colin's accounts to Willowbrook. Then he played clips from the nurse Chloe's hidden camera, showing staff being instructed to limit Elise's stimulation and log any attempt at coherent narrative as perseveration. Finally, he called Mira to the stand. She testified about her investigation, about the normalcy of Elise's medical notes, about the scheduled isolation. Colin's lawyer objected, railed about hearsay, about privacy violations. The judge overruled her. "I want to see the patient," the judge said, her voice firm. "I am ordering Elise Thorne be brought to this courtroom for an independent evaluation today." The color drained from Colin's face. "Your Honor, the stress of transport could cause a catastrophic regression. Her doctors will be present, if you wish, but she will be here. We will reassess and reconvene at 2 o'clock. Those 2 hours were the longest of my life." At 2 p.m., the doors opened. Elise walked in, flanked by a bailiff and a woman I presumed was a court-appointed psychiatrist. She wasn't in a wheelchair. She wore the same soft blue sweater. She was pale, but she held her head high. Her eyes scanned the room, found me, and for a moment, just a moment, she allowed a tiny, tremulous smile to touch her lips. Then her gaze moved to Colin, and it turned to granite. The psychiatrist, Dr. Lorne, took the stand. "Your Honor, my evaluation finds Elise Thorne to be fully oriented, cognitively sound, and capable of managing her own affairs. She shows no signs of the dissociative disorder or cognitive decline noted in her Willowbrook records. In my professional opinion, the current guardianship is medically unnecessary." The judge turned to Elise. "Miss Thorne, do you understand why you are here?" Elise's voice was clear as a bell in the quiet room. "Yes, Your Honor. I understand my husband has petitioned to have my mother declared incompetent, and I understand that he has held me under a fraudulent guardianship for over 2 years. Can you tell the court what happened?" She took a deep breath. 2 years ago, Colin became obsessed with a speculative property development. It required a huge, risky investment. He wanted to use my inheritance, the money my father left in trust for me and the children. The trust forbade using the principal for such ventures. I refused. We argued terribly. He said I was holding him back, that I was weak, just like my mother. She didn't look at me, but I felt the words like a physical blow. The night before I was supposedly due to leave for London, he presented me with forged documents that would have broken the trust. I refused to sign. He flew into a rage. We were at the top of the stairs. He shoved me. I fell. Her voice hitched, but she pressed on. I woke up in the hospital with a concussion. Colin was there, telling the doctors I'd been having hysterical episodes, that I was suicidal, that I'd thrown myself down the stairs. By the time I was lucid enough to contradict him, the paperwork was filed. Dr. Finch, who I later learned is a business associate of Colin's, signed off. I was transferred to Willow. Every time I protested, it was logged as a paranoid delusion. Every attempt to contact the outside world was blocked. I was erased. Frank then played one final recording. It was from a hidden microphone Mira had worn when Colin came to my house with the fake papers. We'd gotten his voice, clear as day, when he thought it was just the two of us. Asterisk, you should have just been a good, confused old woman, Marion, you should have signed what I gave you. Now I have to clean up this mess. Elise was always fragile. It's not a stretch to think it runs in the family. Asterisks. The courtroom was dead silent. Judge looked at Colin, his face ashen. Mr. Thorne, you have perpetrated a profound fraud upon this court, and a monstrous cruelty upon your wife and family. The guardianship over Elise Thorne is terminated, effective immediately. The petition regarding Marion Vance is dismissed with prejudice. I am referring this matter to the district attorney for criminal prosecution for fraud, false imprisonment, and likely, given the testimony about the stairs, attempted manslaughter. The gavel fell. The sound was both an ending and a beginning. Colin was arrested in the courthouse lobby. The investigation into Willowbrook and Dr. Finch exploded, uncovering a network of similar exploitations. My daughter came home that very day. The first week was a fragile, beautiful, terrible thing. Holding her in my arms, feeling the bird-like thinness of her frame, was a pain and a joy so intertwined I couldn't separate them. Lily and Ben were confused, angry, overjoyed, and heartbroken in turns. We started family therapy immediately. Healing is not a straight line. It is a slow, deliberate rebuilding. Some days, Elise would sit for hours in the garden, just staring at the sky, as if relearning the color blue. Some nights, I would hear her pacing the halls. But she was here. She read to the children. She started painting again, first dark, chaotic swirls, then gradually, landscapes from her childhood. We sold the house she'd shared with Colin. The proceeds, along with everything he hadn't managed to squander, went back into the trust for Lily and Ben. The law moved slowly, but it moved. Colin pleaded guilty to multiple charges to avoid a longer trial. He's serving 12 years. Dr. Finch lost his license and faces his own trial. As for me, the anger has banked into a steady, protective flame. I look at my daughter, rediscovering her strength. I look at my grandchildren, learning to feel safe again. I sit on the porch with my coffee, now hot, and watch the leaves fall. Leo was right. The back door was there, but I had to be the one to walk through it and fight my way back to the light. The truth wasn't a gentle thing. It was a scalpel, sharp and cold, that cut away the rot so the healthy flesh could finally breathe. And we are breathing again, together.